Do you ever truly wonder if you can control your own future? I mean, most people kind of drift, right? Hoping for the best, letting things happen to them. But what if just asking that one simple question, can I actually steer this ship?
Yeah.
What if that flips a switch in your brain, moving you from, I don't know, passenger to architect?
That's exactly what we're diving into today, really getting under the hood. We're looking past the usual motivational fluff and exploring the science-backed blueprint for designing your life. We've got sources covering two really powerful tools. Vision boarding, that's your visual target, and then there's life crafting, which is more like the structured scientific roadmap to get there, our mission. It's to pull together the psychological evidence, the hard data, to figure out why these things actually work, why they don't just feel good, but lead to real long-term success, better well-being, and maybe surprisingly, even a longer life.
Okay, so this is like the ultimate distillation then. Taking all that dense research on changing behavior and boiling it down into something clear, something actionable. So if you're listening and you're tired of just intending to do things and you're ready for like focused action, stick around. Let's kick off with that psychological engine you mentioned. The power of asking a really deep question.
Right, so our sources point to this immediate effect. Asking a powerful question creates a kind of gap in your perception. Think of it like a forced comparison in your mind. You're making yourself contrast where you are right now, your current reality, with who you could be, your maximum potential capability.
I get it. So it's the contrast that creates the energy.
Yeah.
If I ask, are you just letting things happen, or are you actually choosing your path?
Yeah.
It creates a tension.
Yeah.
You kind of want to close that gap.
Exactly. And neurologically, that's incredibly powerful. Asking that kind of reflective question, it basically switches your brain's navigation system from autopilot to manual control. It fires up the planning center right there in the prefrontal cortex, the bit responsible for complex thought, self-control. You've shifted from just reacting to actively designing. And what's really fascinating is when you see that gap, and this is crucial, when you believe that future is actually attainable, your brain releases dopamine, a significant amount. That's your intrinsic motivation fuel. It makes the pursuit itself feel exciting, worthwhile.
Wow. So the very words, the framework you use, it directs your actions. Frame it as I can control my future. And the brain goes into planning mode and hits the gas. That desire to close the gap, that dopamine reward, that pushes us to articulate what that future looks like.
Right.
Which naturally leads us right into a great tool for visualizing that, the vision board.
A vision board. Fundamentally, it's like a visual strategy map for yourself. A collage, right? Images, words, affirmations. Capturing the goals you want, the experiences you're aiming for. Psychologically, its main job is clarity. Clarifying intentions and keeping them right at the front of your mind.
Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting for me, proving it's more than just like arts and crafts time. We found this TD Bank survey measuring the actual real-world impact on business founders. Get this, 1 in 5 successful entrepreneurs uses vision boards when starting out. 1 in 5. But here's the kicker. 82% of those small business owners achieved over half their goals since starting the vision board practice. That's a pretty stunning success rate.
It really is. And it points to some deep psychological stuff happening. A 2019 study gave us some clues about how it works. Vision boards, it seems, are fantastic confidence builders. The process encourages self-expression, which helps people pinpoint their genuine strengths, their core values, and the future goals that truly mean something to them. In fact, people who didn't use vision boards, they were found to be twice as less confident about hitting their goals compared to those who did.
Twice less confident.
Wow.
So just the act of getting it out of your head, putting it onto something physical, that alone boosts your belief you can do it.
Precisely. Your self-efficacy gets a lift. And it changes how you see the world around you, too. Regularly looking at your board creates something called a priming effect. Think of it like programming your brain's search filter. If you spend time looking at images of, say, a particular career or a dream trip, you're essentially telling your brain's filter, hey, this stuff is important, look out for it.
Okay, hold on. So if I put like a picture of transitioning to a new career on my board, does that literally mean I might start noticing job ads or articles about that field that I might have just scrolled past before? Is that the effect?
That's essentially it, yes. You become much more attuned, more sensitive to opportunities related to those goals, things you might have otherwise filtered out or just plain missed. Your internal map gets updated to actively seek out the resources you need.
Okay, so practical advice then.
Yeah.
Be specific. Don't just put more money. Put the actual thing, the specific trip, the house deposit that the money is for. Use affirmations. and look at it regularly. That repetition is key.
Consistency is absolutely vital for that priming effect.
Right. Okay, so we've got the visual destination. Now let's talk about the structure to actually get you there.
Yeah.
This brings us to life crafting, which sounds, well, deeper, more structured, more holistic. What's the core difference?
Life crafting is really about being conscious and active in shaping your life. It involves deliberately reflecting on where you are, setting roles across key areas, your social life, your career, your leisure time, and then crucially, making sure all those goals and actions line up, that they're congruent with your deepest personal values and what you truly want. It's about building coherence.
And the absolute linchpin for whether this works or not.
Yeah.
That's self-concordance, right?
That is the absolute crux of it, yes. Self-concordance just means your goals truly align with your own intrinsic motivations, your core values, not just chasing external rewards like status or money. When you pursue a goal because it genuinely satisfies something deep inside you, it meets a fundamental psychological need. Achieving it feels so much better. The energy, the satisfaction, it sustains you.
Yeah, and the research anecdotes really drive this home. The contrast is so stark. You've got Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? His vision for bodybuilding was completely his own, almost outrageous. But he pursued it relentlessly because it was intrinsically his. The reward was self-mastery.
And then the flip side, Brian, the CEO. Here's a guy, successful on paper, big house, huge company, great salary, but utterly miserable. Why? He eventually realized he'd spent his life chasing goals set by others, particularly his father. Those goals were about status, money, external validation, and achieving them didn't actually improve his well-being at all. Chasing someone else's definition of success, we call those heteronymous goals, it's just a fast track to feeling empty.
That distinction feels massive, absolutely crucial. It's not just about setting goals, it's setting the right goals for you. And zooming out a bit, this whole idea of aligning with your values, it connects directly to that Japanese concept, ikigai, doesn't it? Finding your reason for being.
Exactly. Ikigai is like the overarching sense of purpose that life crafting helps you build or uncover. And the research on ikigai is quite remarkable. Having that sense of purpose is strongly linked to better health and even increased longevity. And this holds true across different ages, cultures, genders, even when researchers control for things like diet, lifestyle, personality traits. When you have ikigai, it seems to stabilize your life somehow. You tend to have better self-regulation, you respond better to health advice. It translates into real physical and mental benefits.
Which brings us neatly to the really practical bit. How does someone listening actually do life crafting? The sources lay out a pretty structured 7-step blueprint. Evidence-based, something you can actually start using.
Yes, it's designed to be actionable. Step 1 starts at the foundation, discovering values and passion. The key here is focusing on what you find truly important, that's a values mindset, rather than just what you like, which is more feelings-based. And with passion, we need to distinguish between harmonious passion, the kind that energizes you and fits well with life, and obsessive passion, which can actually create conflict with other parts of your life and lead to burnout or rumination.
Okay, foundation first. Then step 2 is facing reality. The gap between current and future state. This means really reflecting on your habits, your skills right now. And habits are key because, well, most of what we do daily is automatic. You have to consciously identify which automated routines are helping you, and maybe more importantly, which ones are holding you back and need changing.
Step 3 is one people often neglect. Consciously designing your future social life. It's not just about having lots of friends, it's about the quality of those connections. Life crafting involves identifying relationships that genuinely energize and support you, and maybe distancing yourself from those high-maintenance ones that drain your energy. Actively cultivate support.
Makes sense. Then step 4 is your future career, but, and this is key, seeing it in relation to everything else in your life. This is where concepts like job crafting come in, actively tweaking your tasks or mindset at work to find more meaning.
Or if your job just doesn't allow for much crafting, then you focus on leisure crafting, deliberately using your free time for activities that do provide that sense of meaning and purpose.
Okay, value, reality check, social, career. What's step 5?
Step 5 is arguably the most potent psychological tool here, writing about the future, but in 2 specific ways. First, you write about your ideal future, imagining your best possible self. This builds optimism and clarifies the goal. Second, you write about the future if you take no action. What happens if you just keep doing what you're doing now? This technique, called mental contrasting, is powerful. Seeing the potential negative consequences of inaction really motivates you to move towards the ideal.
Contrasting the dream with the default drift.
Okay.
That seems like it bridges the gap between the big vision and actually doing something. Which leads to step 6, goal attainment plans, or GAPs.
Right. And the framework here is critical. Your big goals can actually stay a little flexible, maybe even a bit vague initially, but your plans to reach them, those need to be incredibly specific. We use if-then plans, technically called implementation intentions. They basically pre-program your response to specific cues or obstacles.
So like instead of I'll try to meditate more.
Exactly. Instead of that vague intention, you create a specific role. If it's 7 a.m. and my alarm goes off, then I will immediately sit on my meditation cushion for 5 minutes. Or if I feel stressed at work, then I will take 3 deep breaths. That simple structure automates the start of the behavior. It bypasses the need for moment-to-moment willpower, which we know is unreliable.
Got it. If then, very concrete. And the final step, step 7.
Public commitment. There's real power in making your goals known. Maybe it's writing an I will statement and sharing it with a supportive friend, family member, or even a coach or online group. That social element significantly boosts your commitment and your own self-monitoring. You feel accountable.
Yeah, and that anecdote about the student in the study really illustrates this, doesn't it? The one who initially thought the whole I will thing was, quote, a complete and utter joke.
That's the one. He just wrote down random, almost silly goals at first.
Okay.
But because the program involved planning daily actions using those if-then structures, he found himself kind of accidentally achieving some of them.
He was surprised. He saw the structure was working, even when his initial intention wasn't serious.
And that experience shifted something. He ended up changing his public I will statement to something profound. I will help the next generation to be better.
That's incredible. From joke goals to legacy thinking, just through structure and reflection.
It shows the potential upward spiral. Structure can lead to action, action builds confidence, and that can reshape your whole identity and purpose. And these interventions are designed to be low cost, scalable, anyone can try them.
So bringing it all together, for you listening, what's the big picture? It seems the most effective path isn't just one thing, it's combining powerful self-aware questions with a clear visual destination, maybe using a vision board or that best possible self-writing, and underpinning it all with a structured, value-aligned plan, like life crafting, using those specific if-then steps to build real coherence.
Exactly. And that final takeaway really circles back to purpose, to ikigai. It's not just some philosophical nice to have. Finding or building purpose seems fundamental for a flourishing life. It fuels your health, your happiness, your ability to stick with positive changes, and ultimately your longevity. And the encouraging part is purpose isn't just something you stumble upon. It can be actively crafted.
Okay, let's end with a final thought, something to really chew on based on the research. It turns out that simply searching for meaning doesn't guarantee you'll find it. In fact, for older adults especially, constantly searching for meaning without finding it can actually be linked to lower well-being. The search itself can become draining. So that raises a really critical question for you right now. If just searching isn't enough, if wondering about purpose might even backfire, what concrete step, what single if-then plan, what tiny action are you going to carve out today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. What's the very first brick you're going to lay to actively build, not just search for, your purpose?